Hello, everyone. Happy to see you again. Today, I want to talk about the interview questions. What's your strength and what is your weakness? A lot of people come unprepared to interviews with that question, and then they are kind of stumped. They don't have an answer right away. So, we're going to talk about how to prepare for that answer and have it ready. We want you to be genuine, but we want you to be prepared. So, today I'm going to talk about that question, some of the do's and don'ts, some of the things I've seen, so that you can hopefully answer that question a little bit better when you get to your interview. So first, let's talk about the question, what is your strength? So when I say that, there's probably several things that come to mind, but you want to make sure that you answer with things that are pertinent to the role that you're interviewing for, the job you're going to be doing, or to the company that you're interviewing with. So think about your list of strengths. I'm sure you have many, and narrow that down to things that are pertinent to the job. That's what they really want to see is, hey, what is the strength? And hopefully that's something that we can use here at this company, that skill set, or you're really strong in this area and that's exactly what we're looking for. So make sure that you're giving a strength that's relevant to the interview that you're doing, to the job that you're applying for, something that really highlights your skill set. So if there's a skill that you're really good at, something that you're passionate about that is relevant to the position you're applying for, try to think along those lines as far as what's a strength that pertains to this job, something that's really going to showcase me, right? Because a resume can only say so much about us. So this is your chance to really showcase your strengths, your soft skills, not something that you can really put as a line item on a resume, but as something that you're really good at. So keep it to that. Maybe as you describe your strength, give some examples of how that would be able to help the team or the company or the project that you may be working on or going into in this new role. So try to make it relevant, right? That's the big thing. I see a lot of people, they're not prepared for this question. So when it's asked, they give something that's a strength, but maybe not something 100% relatable to the role, or they don't give an example. So that's always a good idea too, is in your answer, you don't want to make your answer too long, but explain your strength. Explain why you said that particular strength. So, I'm strong at this, and this is how it's going to help me to do this job better, or contribute to this team better, or contribute to this company better, right? So follow up that answer with that. It makes the answer more robust. It paints a better picture of the job that you're going to do for the company. And keep it relevant to the job description, right? So I kind of said that in the beginning. So think of all your strengths. Think of the things that are going to be useful for the job that you're interviewing for, and then pick out maybe 2 or 3 in case they say, give me 1 or 2 of your strengths, and then you have a couple to choose from as well. That way, you can see kind of how the flow of the interview is going, maybe what seems to be important to the employer, so that you can speak to a strength that's really going to hit home with them as well. I know we all have multiple strengths, but you kind of want to narrow down the best one for the job that you're applying for. Okay, and my favorite one, what is your weakness? So I want to talk to you a little bit about also what the employer is trying to gain from asking this question. So this is a very telling question in an interview. I think that we can get probably a lot more out of this question than sometimes what is your strength. So first of all, have a weakness. I have sat in many, many interviews and asked this question, and the person is just floundering for an answer. So first of all, that tells me if you can't think of anything that is a weakness, like when I am asked that question, like 10 things come to mind that I could improve upon. So if you can't think of anything, think of it in the respect of, you don't want to speak bad about yourself in the interview for sure. So this is a hard question to answer, right? I don't want to say something negative about myself, but I want to give a negative, something I'm improving on. So think about it more when you're thinking of what to say is maybe an area that you need to improve on or that you're actively doing things to improve on. The worst thing that you can do is be in the interview and be floundering for an answer. So this is definitely one you want to have things ready as well. If you don't have an answer ready, it makes it appear that maybe you're not very humble, right? You can't think of a weakness. You're that good. You don't have anything that you're not good at. So you do not want to not have an answer to this question. But you don't want to speak negatively. So this is probably one of the harder questions, I think, to answer. You don't want to say stuff like, well, I'm not very organized. Oh, okay. That's not going to work for this job, right? Things like that. You want to pick something that you're improving on. You say, you know what? Well, communication skills. It's a little bit of a weakness for me. I'm taking some courses on that to help myself improve. So the big thing is to show that you're actively working on improving the weakness. I think that's the big part. One, acknowledging it, and we all grow every single day. So there's nothing wrong with acknowledging a weakness. Let's add to that. And this is what I'm doing to improve that skill set so that it is not a weakness. So I want you to follow up your answer, continue the answer and say, this is my weakness, but this is what I'm doing. I've acknowledged it, and this is what I'm doing to make sure that that is not a weakness going forward. So that's really a lot about what this question is about, is self-improvement, right? We all have strengths and weaknesses every single day in our job, but what are we doing to improve them? If we can't acknowledge our weaknesses, then we can't improve them. So, the first part is acknowledging, hey, this skill set here is probably my weakest skill set. And here's what I'm doing to improve that so that it doesn't continue to be a weakness in my future. So think about answering the question that way, right? Think about something, again, that maybe pertains to the job. It could be, hey, my weakness is project management. I'm working on that. I'm working on my organizational skills on a project, something like that, to where you can showcase what you're improving, that you're actively improving that situation. So when you think of your weakness, think of that as well. What things am I working on right now? What classes am I taking? What things am I learning? You could be doing some self-learning. So you could use that as the weakness, the thing that you're learning, right? And say, well, I really need to increase my knowledge on that. So I've been taking courses. So turn your weakness around into a self-improvement answer. That's really the answer that we're looking for, right? Okay, yeah, you got a weakness, you acknowledged it, you're working on making yourself better. Great employee. That's who I want working for me. Someone who's always improving. So use this question and your answer as a way to also show how you are accomplishing self-improvement, right? It's an ongoing task. We're always self-improving. Every single day we're better than we were yesterday, or we should be. I would hope so. All right, well, that's about all I have for you today. One last thing I'd like to give you a tip on in your interview, and it's not really pertinent to this segment, but I always like to throw it in there. It's a big one, is having questions ready to ask. A lot of times at the end of the interview, we say, hey, do you have any questions for us? And the candidate's like, no, because sometimes they've been through several calls and conversations and they are running out of questions. Do not go into your interview without a question ready. So have at least 2 or 3 questions written down that you bring with you. You want to show interest in the company. You want to have a couple questions at the end of that interview. So bring a couple with you. Now, you may come up with more during the interview, things that come up that you want to ask, but if not, do not leave yourself high and dry. Bring a couple of questions. Ask about company growth. Ask something about the company. That always looks good, makes you look like you're interested in the company, not just a job and a paycheck, right? So have 2 or 3 questions ready to ask. And like I said, if you're kind of at a loss, ask a couple questions about the company. That's always good. What do you like about working here at this company? What is the culture like at the company? What are the growth plans for the company? What do you see, where do you see the company in the next 5 years as far as growth? Things like that to show your interest. Do not walk into the interview without a question prepared. It's not a good look to be at the end and just be like, well, no, I don't have any questions. Because some of the people that you're talking to in that interview or the final interview, you may not have spoken to before. Others you may have and ask questions. But for the new people, ask at least one question. Just ask something about the company if you've got nothing else. Well, that's all for today. I hope that this video is helpful for those of you out there going into job interviews. If it has been helpful and you've landed that job, I would love to hear about it. I love hearing good news. Drop me a message down below and let me know about that. I love to hear the success stories. It kind of brings a bright spot to my day. So hope all of y'all have a good one out there, and I'll see you soon.